dreams, left the sunshine behind. Now Arkansas calls, where the land's untamed and wild. Gary, Mary, Mary, we're carving out of space, building a homestead at our own pace. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. From the four-wheelers we're fixing to tiny house dreams. Every day's a challenge, but it's sweeter than it seems. Downsizing our life, but living more free. Come along, share this life with me. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. From the live chats, we'll tell you what's new. Sharing our progress and projects with you. From Florida's coast to Arkansas hills, we're chasing freedom and chasing thrills. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. Like, subscribe, and share. It's all for free. Together we'll build this homestead dream. Junktojems Homestead, where we live off the land. With hard work and heart, we'll make our stand. From the four-wheelers we're fixing to tiny house dreams. Every day's a challenge, but it's sweeter than it seems. Downsizing our life, but living more free. Come along, share this life with me. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. In the live chats, we'll tell you what's new. Sharing our progress and projects with you. From Florida's coast to Arkansas hills, we're chasing freedom and chasing thrills.
Oh man, so much clearing in there. It was awesome. Gotta love that machine. Mary still runs a few of a lot of that machine. And this is all the dogs area right here, believe it or not. All the fenced in area, that's what we're pretty much working on right there. That's all the fenced in area now. Just amazing how different it is looking at it today. After seeing this, going back even for ourselves, going back and looking at this and seeing how much we have done, 99% of it by hand. But that little machine right there, it does the job. Look at that, how as tall and thick as that stuff was, and it just goes right through there. And yes, all the grass did look good out there. I mean, what little bit of grass there was, but it was mostly weeds. But we did realize way back then that we were going to have to raise a lot of that up because we already knew that was wet at one point. So that's why we went ahead and just did what we did, get it all cleared out. Yeah, we would have liked to have kept that, kind of shady like that, but we just knew it was all going to grow right back up again if we didn't. So here's the shop area. So which is amazing that it was that buried in there that we couldn't even see the shop when we first started all this. Sure sure thick up through there, that's for sure. That's for sure, sure. Say it one more time. Come on, one more time. At least two or three more times, man. It was pretty back then, but looking back, it was wet. So there's Jen and Wiley helping us out getting our rock smoothed out there. At least the first load. And see, this is how you cut a tree when you ain't got a ladder. Make do with what you got. At least in a bucket, if you fall, you can fall right back into the bucket. And Jen and Wiley, if you're watching, thank you so much again for all that last year. And Anson and Ivy and Anson and Gladys and your mom and dad, boy, y'all just rocked it out and helped us out so much with all that. And we are so grateful. And of course, really super thankful for Drew and Lindsay for, helping us get our start up here, and Mike and David and everybody else that contributed to everything to helping us get here. We are so grateful for all that. I sure wish the driveway looked like that now. All that mud, all that wetness that we've had this year just made all that sink. So you can bet by the time we get ready to do our next batch of rock through there, now that we've got that all pretty packed down and clayed up and everything, we will be putting that mat down there and then putting our rock in so it doesn't just sink into the mud. And here comes our second load of rock. Here's where we were putting the rock in the barn. So this is kind of the stuff we're going to be putting down when we do the driveway the next time. This is just stuff that we had from Florida, the privacy fence type stuff that we put down, and it seemed to have worked pretty well. In hindsight, I wish we'd have put plastic underneath it, but it's all good. That was the spot for the camper. And while he's hooking up our driveway, look at that, all that, y'all. Still had all them big stumps in there and all that, but isn't that amazing how that driveway came out? Yeah, if I'd have gone through and shown every little bit of this, y'all, like I said, this video would have been 3 or 4 hours. But as it was, just picking out the videos that I did, I had like 11 hours of video all total. And trying to go through that much video was like, I don't know how some of them do these year-end reviews unless they just work on them and work on them and work on them for a few weeks at a time. But I've been a couple of days already just trying to get this little bit done. So I thought, y'all would like to see, for the, people that are new subscribers and you haven't gone back and watched any of the older videos. I get that. Uh, but at least this way you can kind of see all the work that we did put into this place, trying to get it going and how dry it was at that point. So it will dry out again. This has just been an abnormally wet season for some reason. So we're looking forward to getting it back to dry like that again. And hopefully next year it'll be a lot drier than it was this year. So now we got a spot about ready to get the camper in. Wiley was still smoothing more out there for us with the box blade, because our tow truck wasn't running back then. And putting more rock down and getting us all prepared to get the camper in here. And I guess we're gonna have a new vet in our family up here. I did talk to Jen and Wiley the other day, and Wiley was telling me that their son is about to join the Marine Corps. So that's very awesome. So congrats to him. So this guy here was awesome. He was putting on our internet, and he's like, yeah, I'll just take a few minutes out of my lunch break and help you knock this out real fast. And it only took him about 15-20 minutes, and he got them big stumps out of our way out there and piled them up for us. So a thank you to him. This was very awesome of him to do that. He didn't have to do that, but in the hindsight, it looked like it probably made his job a little bit easier getting that stuff out of the way so they could get our internet in here. Got the barn all clean. And y'all know this little area here now. But look at that. That's the dog's yard, y'all. That's how thick that was. You can't even see the back half of the barn. It was so thick. Like, it was so thick when we first bought the property, we didn't even know we had a barn back here. Or another building for that matter. There's Shorty working hard, Mary working hard. And all that stuff was so thick and vined up and everything. Or you get up here to one point, and there was one big clump of that stuff in there that was just so thick that it seemed like it took us forever to get that out. And we still have, another big window like we have here that we're going to be putting on the barn somewhere. We're just not sure exactly where yet. But we figure a couple of years this will take us probably to get this set in here to where we can eventually move the camper out of here and have it comfortable enough to live in here. There's the guys putting our water line in now. Yeah, that big clump right there, well, that was a beast trying to get it apart. You can see how thick that clump was right there. It took us a bit to get to that one, get that all out of there. And again, thank you all again for joining us on this video. I really, really appreciate everyone. And who knew that YouTube and you all could uh, help us make this dream come true. And there's old Russell helping us get our camper hooked up. And there's Drew and Gypsy Trails. I think that's Drew's nephew right there. Russell got a real tractor now, y'all. You'd put that on the back of a tow truck, and tow truck would have done a wheelie. But the fact that he can lift his, up and down at random, his 3-point back there with down pressure, so it was pretty easy to get it in and out of there with that. As steep as that hill is going in and out of there, you can see how far up the tail end goes, so you have to lower the nose real right there. He lowered the nose as far as he could, and it made it come right out of there smooth without dragging. Even though it looked like it drug, it didn't. All the puppies excited about going to their new home. Now we're all hooked up to Randall's truck. And thank you again, Randall. And Russell and everybody else that pitched in there to help us get moved. And up we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high up into the sky. I'm kidding. And the arrival to the gemstead. So Randall got it all the way back to there, and he was nervous about trying to get it into the barn itself. So we swapped drivers right here, and I put it in the barn. And as you can see here, we got super close to the AC unit on top, and like We were only lacking just a couple of inches. But I don't think you could have slid a piece of paper between those two when it went through there. So we come up with devised a plan to come in here and air down the tires. And we knew that would give us just enough. We figured, well, it's only going a few more feet. Airing them down real low would make it work. And it did. It come right in there nice. And where we had set everything up, their slide out worked out perfect. Now in hindsight, yeah, I wish we'd have moved it over a little closer to the back side, but uh, it's all good. There's the arms to my lift. I'm trying to get all that old plywood out of there because them big wood rats had built a nest in behind some of that. And thank O'Rourke's Littlefield for all the old carpet they had. Is that helped keep the glass off of our feet and kept some of the wetness down anyway. It ain't pretty, but you know what? It was a barn, so that's pretty much all we were worried about, was just getting something to walk on besides the dirt and the glass. Because even though we cleaned and cleaned and cleaned on that glass, we just still couldn't get it all. And then of course, that dirt was so hard, it was hard raking it. But when we do the concrete in here, we'll have to get in here and just lay the plastic down, and we plan on laying the plastic right over top of the carpet to keep the glass from poking through it and keeping the moisture out. And again, Jamie and Kevin over there at O'Rourke's Littlefield, want to thank you for that old couch. That thing worked out real well for us. Gave us like a little living room to in there, so that was very cool. And back to working on the dog pen area. Again, don't you just love how that mower just that push weed whacker, as they call it, just went right through a lot of that thick stuff and got her done. and then we got our buddy Josh over here uh, with the Dozer man, just taking care of business. And that's the back side of the shop. And man, I need to get me one of these. That little Dozer did more than I expected it to, that's for sure. But he went through there, as you can see, and just pushed all that stuff right down and out of the way, real nice and easy. You know, that would be a big help when it's wet around here and maintaining the road and everything else, to have one of those. But again, Josh, we want to thank you for all that. Man, that was a major help. For a little John Deere dozer, that thing kicked butt, that's for sure. As you can see, it didn't play at all. Now that's back over there in that area where Mary's got her tent. Getting all them little stumps up, that was major help there. Now, if he just had a rake for the front of that, that would be ideal. Drag it out of there. If you can't push it over, drag it out of there. So here's the drive where Rachel and Sean currently reside, right in this area right here. That was a nice little clearing just for them, so that worked out really good. Yeah, them two right there, they were like, we don't want to go. So I said, I don't think so. When I say go, that means go. Get out of here. And of course, you'll see that big tree there that got wiped out recently. Right up in here in just a minute when he backs down the drive again. Yeah, that big open area right there is where they stay now. Just amazing the difference, y'all. Really is. And how fast a dozer can make that work happen. You know, Bertha is a machine all in its own, but you know it can't smooth the dirt like that. You can see how that just smooths the dirt right along there. As most of you know, all that area right in there that he's pushing all that piles up in there. You know, we cleaned all that up, the rest of that up by hand pretty much. You know, all those piles and everything, a lot of that we cleaned up by hand. That dozer sure is nice to help smooth that ground out. But look at how dry that was back then, y'all. And now it's just mud. Everything is so wet here right now. It's like you couldn't get a dry spot over there to save your tail. Like, we don't even know if he ever got that dozer fixed. In fact, I need to ride over there here soon and check on him and see if he ever got that thing fixed. Maybe next year we'll get one. I mean, for what he gave for that machine right there, and you know, he had to put some work into the tracks right after all of this, after he got done with our place and David's place. But man, look at the difference. Now that's all going back there to where we found that trash pile and all that, and he's building the third drive back there. And this is the area where, yeah, you can see those two little chicken sheds we had back there, or some kind of pen back there. I don't know what we call them. But this is where the giant burn pile is now, and right in there is where all that trash is, right behind him. And of course, this is where our chickens are at now, is right there where he's at, right there. And there's that big tree that almost pinned Sean and Rachel in that day from that storm. Very awesome. And again, still looking back, y'all, it just amazes me every time I see this, y'all. Going back and watching some of the older videos as I was trying to edit this was like, wow. And I think all of that is cleared now. Now he's coming back here to try to cut the third driveway in, starting from the road, so he kind of knows how far back to go. We tried coming in this area right here, and he got back in there, but then we realized that the trees were right there were just a little bit too much. So we had him come over this way and start cutting in from there. So then he ended up taking it back out to the road. You can see how thick that stuff was back there. It was real thick, even thicker back there than it was up there front. You know, that machine right there is worth every bit of $250 an hour all day long. Just look at that thing go. It's kind of crazy seeing it in fast motion like this. Get out the way! Yeah, whenever we can get it dry back in that area, I'm gonna have to take Bertha back in there and start smoothing some of that out too, and getting some of that cleaned out of there. So very cool, so very cool. It's hard to do a voiceover on a video this long, y'all, because I know you're getting these pause spots in here, but you know it's hard to just non-stop talk for an hour, you know. So at least when you're doing the live videos, when you're non-stop talking for an hour, yeah, you are getting some kind of breaks in there, you know, answering questions or what have you like that. But again, he did an awesome job on this, and we are so grateful for everything, y'all. You know, we are just can't say how grateful we are. You know, this has always been kind of a dream for both of us to, you know, to be able to do something like this, but we just never thought, neither one of us ever thought that we could really ever do it, you know. And I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people think uh, you just, oh, I'd love to do that, but you know, I wouldn't know about anything about going about and doing it and or anything like that. So we feel extra blessed that, you know, that we did have the opportunity to actually make this happen and live this type of dream, you know. I absolutely love it. And we are humbled and grateful every day for it. In fact, a young lady sent me an email the other day. Said how much she was appreciative of her, that keeping her dream alive and you know, giving her inspiration every day to keep pushing towards that dream. You know, despite all the obstacles in life. So yes, you're very welcome on that, and I'm glad that we can, you know, that we can have the opportunity like this to inspire others and show that it can happen. Because you know, we really never ever thought that we would be in the position we're at as far as like YouTube and be surrounded by the awesome people that we're surrounded by. So yes, it really is a dream. And it just goes to show that just persistence and super hard work and never giving up, never losing sight of that goal, no matter what comes at you, to just keep pushing through to that goal and making the sacrifices that you have to make to get there. You know, because we made a lot of sacrifices to get here, and we were also very blessed by a lot of other things to get here. So we're again, we can't say thank you enough to all of those that helped make it happen. But you know, they say once you surround yourself by good people, you just, you know, it'll just keep coming. And never give up on that dream. Just keep pushing forward, because it can happen. Sitting right here now watching this video and texting my buddy Tim down in Florida. So Tim, I'm texting you while I'm doing this. Hi, brother. Yeah, Tim came up and visited us here not long ago. With Jeff was over here, and we had a little throwdown on some groceries, and that was really sweet having him up here. Although we wish Claudia could have made it, but you know, she had to stay back and take care of the homestead down there in Florida. So Claudia, if you're watching, hello. Next time, come on up and visit us. So here's where the big curve is, and this is where I got stuck. Right in there is where I got stuck with the backhoe when we first got it here. Yes, I still plan on making that a buggy trail. I've been working more on the buggy a little bit at a time, tinkering here and there. So after getting it running and everything, it decided just to die out on me, and so I've got to get another carburetor for it. So I'm trying to find a different carburetor for it this time, instead of one that the throttle pulls through the top and one that's got like a throttle like on the little four-wheeler out here. So I can change that design up a little bit on the inside around the engine compartment, and because as it stands right now, the cable will end up being up over your head if I try to leave it the way that is right now with everything. And I just don't want to do that. So there's where the chickens are at, that big pile right there. That's where the chickens are at now. Josh said, "You want me to get rid of that little tree right in the middle?" Yes, sir. Get rid of it. And even that little one, it didn't want to come loose. Like the commercial says, nothing stops a deer. And Big Joe helping me get some insulation over top of that, trying to prepare for the winter. He said, "We don't need no stinking ladders. You got Joe." He just reaches right up there and does it. I mean, I thought I was tall, but he got me by a few inches. And thanks, Joe. We appreciate that very much. For those of you that don't know Joe, that's Heavy Duty Life. Awesome, awesome fella. He's another Floridian, moved up here. At this point, he hadn't moved up here yet, but he is up here now full time. And eventually I'll get all that wire put in conduit when I get ready to redo the barn in here and get all that going on. You know, we do things. So yeah, I agree that doing things twice is not pretty and not great. But on the same note, with what we had here, we were just trying to survive it. Trying to survive the winter and hold us over and to get through it. Look at that. We should have cut it so the lines lined up. But it didn't work out that way. But it got us through a winter, and that's that was the main goal there, was just to hold us over for one winter. And now we've got the insulation and all that stuff ready. So sometime this summer we'll be working on that. A lot of that is, we've got the plastic for the floor in here, and for some of the walls to put over top of that. We will eventually need plywood on the inside here, or drywall. We're just not sure how we're going to do that yet. I'm thinking plywood might be the better option. And then just burn it and seal it and make it all look rustic in here. But as it stands right now, like I said, we've got the insulation, but we really need to add more studs in the walls in here and stiffen this up a little bit more. So that's kind of the goal there before we go putting too much insulation in here. We do have it on hand though, so we'll be ready here soon to do that. And eventually I want to get all this metal siding off of here and either do plywood or the zip board or something like that on the outside of this, and get rid of all the outside exterior metal, because all that does is sweat in here. And that's another reason we haven't done the insulation yet, because basically we're trying to save up for some of that too, so that we can get plywood for the outside and just get the metal off, and then we'll insulate where all the plywood's at. So here's where the big barn door comes off. And that's some of the metal I'm going to be using there, along with some of the other metal we've taken off the barn so far, to be building a lean-to, which is coming real soon. Now the lean-to will then end up being probably 10 or 12 feet. So I just need a. I thought I had enough boards to do the whole thing, but I don't. So I'm gonna have to just wait until I can get a few more boards over here. Need about probably 10 more of those all total, and about 10 2x4s, and I should be able to knock that out. The window we've kind of put on hold, raising it up yet, because we still haven't come up with a definitive plan yet for that, how far we're going to raise it up, and also we've got some more plans for that rest of that wall, so we don't want to have to do that 3 times, you know what I mean? So when we raise the window up, I want to be able to take the replace the dog door and all that stuff, which, you know, that's another thing. We got to get a new dog door. We find out these guys are too smart and escape artists, so when we lock them in the barn, they figure out a way to break that dog door out and get out of there. All right, so let's play some music. Here's where we're getting ready to frame the wall in and put the window in, just so you know. But we're gonna play some music for a few minutes and let you see how that goes. Now, this is one of the windows that we're putting in here. This is one of the windows we brought from Florida. So let's get some music.
We packed our dreams, left the sunshine behind. Now Arkansas calls, where the land's untamed and wild. Gary, Mary, Mary, we're carving out of space, building a homestead at our own pace. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. From the four-wheelers we're fixing to tiny house dreams. Every day's a challenge, but it's sweeter than it seems. Downsizing our life, but living more free. Come along, share this life with me. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. From the live chats, we'll tell you what's new. Sharing our progress and projects with you. From Florida's coast to Arkansas hills, we're chasing freedom and chasing thrills. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. Like, subscribe, and share. It's all for free. Together we'll build this homestead dream. Junktojems Homestead, where we live off the land. With hard work and heart, we'll make our stand. From the four-wheelers we're fixing to tiny house dreams. Every day's a challenge, but it's sweeter than it seems. Downsizing our life, but living more free. Come along, share this life with me. Welcome to Junktojems, where the work never ends. Off-grid living with our family and friends. We got houseboats to build and tractors to mend. Join the journey, let the adventure begin. In the live chats, we'll tell you what's new. Sharing our progress and projects with you. From Florida's coast to Arkansas hills, we're chasing freedom and chasing thrills.
Now we got old Lift involved, getting out our fence posts and our fences, and getting ready to set the dogs' fences. And we want to thank SLR and Mike over there at DD5, Gary and Mel, and Mike and Lissa for helping us out with this, because we did get to borrow that post driver, which we need to invest in here soon, because we've got a lot more fencing to do. We do have another 100-foot roll of fence, and so at some point we want to expand this fence for the dogs. And all this fence we brought from Florida, and these posts we brought from Florida. But yeah, those first few, putting them in by hand, that was rough. And then we got to borrow that cool toy from Gary and Mel over there, and that just made life sweeter as far as putting them posts in, because it just put them right down in the ground. Old lift pushing all the stuff up out of the way. Now here comes the fence. So wasn't that pretty ingenious the way I did that with just some trees? Stuck them down in the bucket like that, and it gave us a way to pile the fence on there without it rolling off. That fence was heavy, y'all. Get her done. Yeah, so we had to lay out the fence, kind of figure out where our joint was going to be there. Somebody riding down the road out there, we don't know. Fence roll number 2. There it goes. Big heavy lift. Come on, you can do it, Mary. Yeah, once we realized the fence wasn't long enough to go through both posts, we just said heck with it and took them off. Just strap it down. But I've done that in the past with tow truck, just taking boards and sticking them on the back like that, and you can load all kinds of stuff up on there like that. You know, we still have one more roll of that to go on the back side over here, plus be able to put that, expand their area a little bit for them at some point. A lot of plans, a lot of dreams. That, you know, it takes time, it takes lots of money. So you just you work with what you got and keep going. Do a little at a time till you get her all done. We found out there was a little tiny concrete pad there. It wasn't all that great. You can tell somebody just hand poured the concrete out there and just let it sit. They didn't even bother to try and smooth it or nothing. Just put it there. So this, I used a giant socket on top of the post and then hand drove them. As you can see, you can only swing that thing so many times, then you got to take a break. So I was just eyeballing them basically about my height there, because we knew the fence was 6 foot tall and I'm 6'3", so. But that worked out pretty good for that. And then there's that lovely machine. That thing was such a lifesaver. Look at that, just right down in the ground. Drive T-post, regular fence post, all that. We need a bunch more of them 8-foot posts eventually. I think we need about 20 more of those. All the rest of them that we were going to bring with us from Florida, they were just bent up too bad, and I was just like, you know what? That's a lot more extra weight that we really can't afford to haul right now, so we ended up just leaving them. I mean, I probably could have put them in the pipe bender and straightened a bunch of them out, but again, that was just a lot of extra weight that we really couldn't afford to do. So we got her all straightened out and laid out there and ready to rock and roll. The dogs were so happy when they got to come out there for the first time. And now they're all excited about wanting to get out on the rest of the property. And they're slowly but surely, you know, they're just now 3 years old, so they're just now starting to calm down a little bit about being able to stay along with us, you know. If we'd have been able to do that when they were young, you know, that'd have been different. It's a nice thing about chain link though is you can pull that by hand and make that plenty tight enough for you know what you got to do there. But we gave absolutely no money for all that 6 foot fence, y'all, down in Florida. Somebody had they had recycled it from a big job, a construction job, and just the guy said, just come get it, come get all of it. You can have every bit of it. Just get it off the property. He said, I'm yeah, something about his health wasn't up there to do it all, and so he just said, we can have it if we just come get it. And we were like, sure. So we took the trailer down there and loaded every bit we could get. That was such another blessing in our lives, you know. You just never know where blessings come from. But if you keep your ears open and put your feelers out there and put the word out there, you know, you can't just sit back and say, well, I wish I had this and without telling anybody you want it, you know. If you don't tell people you want it, then nobody knows if the you know that hey, I know somebody that may have some of that or have this or have that. You could probably either get real cheap or get for nothing, you know. You just never know. You know, in this particular case here, I just happened to put the word out to a few friends saying, hey, I need this. And, you know, if you run across anybody that's got something they want to get rid of, you know, or dirt cheap or just for free or whatever, I'll come holler or trade them out some work. And just so happened the word got out there to the right guy at the right time. You can see they were all super happy about they had their yard back again so they could get out. But now that they know they've got this big yard out here, they want to be out there with us all the time now. Uh, and we're slowly but surely letting them do that more and more, and they're getting better about staying around the yard now. So time to get the rest of it. That was just a little roll. I think that's only like 20 or 30 feet there. See, there's the spot. That's where the first time Bertha got back there in there and found out how soft that was. Of course, at that point it had rained quite a bit, so it, you know, that wasn't like right when the dozer got in there, you know. When the dozer was in there, it was all nice and dry. But yeah, I rolled off in there and just buried the front end. So dig her out. This is how you recover yourself whenever you're in a backhoe and you get stuck. That's all it took. Just that little bit, and she come right up out of there. My first experience with Bertha in the Arkansas deep mud. And this branch was about to fall down, so I figured, well, let me get that out of the way real quick before it falls down and hits a cab or something like that, or hits me. So here I thought I was trying to be safe and digging a burn pit. And granted, we needed all the dirt anyway, but uh, digging a burn pit and then letting it rain here with this clay, this ain't like Florida where you can dig a burn pit and burn stuff safely and good. Nope, it doesn't happen that way. It just fills up with water. And doesn't allow the burn to get air. So, you know, we didn't have uh, the blower out there at that time. But I found out if you're going to do a burn pit like that, a good little thing to keep around is an old squirrel cage, because that works out real good. A squirrel cage, you just set it on the edge there and let it blow on it, and it'll keep it going. Then of course here comes the snow. Our first snow on the gemstead. And then after this snow, we ended up getting a lot more snow, and you'll see that here in just a minute. But it was pretty. We enjoyed that first little bit of snow. Had no idea what was to come, but it sure was pretty. I wish I couldn't find the video on the rest of it, of some of it, but that's all right. It was pretty. Nice thing about snow is it's pretty when it comes down, when it first happens, but then when it starts melting, that everything turns to mud and brown and slush and nasty and yeah, you're about to see here in just a second what real snow looks like. Reminded me of being in Michigan, because we sure got it hard. And when we first got up here, everybody was saying, oh, no, it rarely gets snow, and if we do, it's more ice. But look at that, 13 inches, y'all. That was some snow. Car got stuck, everybody was stuck everywhere, nobody could move. Sean and I ended up having to use Bertha to go up to the dollar store. And then, of course, once I got up to the dollar store, people were just like playing with everything they got, trying to get in and out of the parking lot there. So that's when I went ahead and scraped that. For some of you have seen that video. If not, then go back and you can see that video where I used Bertha to help them clear the parking lot real fast, at least so people could get in and out of there. And no, I didn't charge them anything for that. That was just that was one of those things, helping neighbors, you know. But that was it was pretty cool to get up that morning and see all that snow. But you can see the table sitting there, and that was 13 inches sitting there on the table. That's a whole lot of snow. So we're getting close to the end of the video here. So again, I want to thank y'all for watching um, and joining me on this. This is a long premiere, I know, hour and 30 minutes, but it's been sure a lot of fun. And you know, I hope it does inspire some of y'all to reach out and chase that dream no matter what, because you can do it. You know, life is going to throw obstacles at you. It doesn't matter whether you're living your life right now or chasing your dream out here, you know, and doing what we're doing. I mean, we get obstacles hit us all the time. You just don't give up, and you don't quit, and you keep positive. Try to keep that positive attitude as best you can, and you're gonna hit times when, you know, life is gonna do something to you, and it's gonna try and knock your teeth down. But you know what? Get up with a broken smile. We don't care, you know. Keep going. And I think probably the most important thing is don't live with the regret, because you know what? If you don't get out there and chase that dream, then you look back on your life after so many years and you go, man, I wish I'd have done that. You know, I wish I would have taken that chance. Well, that's the regret. Don't do that. It's not worth it. You know, you only get to live this life once, and every day that passes, you don't get back. So, you know, like I tell a lot of people all the time, every day you're unhappy is a day you don't get to return to and do over. You know, there are no do overs in it. Every second that passes, you're not happy, and you're not making the best of it. Then, yeah, that's just the second lost. You know, so keep chasing that. Look at that beautiful snow, y'all. Keep chasing that dream. Don't give up on that. Because I promise you, it's worth it in the long run. And you know, and again, a lot of that there is also just the attitude about it. You know, is staying positive, staying happy, and not letting that get you down, because it can knock you for a loop, and it can knock you for a loop hard. But you know, I always say attitude. It's all about the AAA. You know, your attitude times aptitude determines your altitude. So live life by the AAA. That sounds kind of cliche. And rhymes. Look at there. Poet and didn't know it. Oh, man. So here we go. We're fixing to come up on some other cool stuff here. If I can get I guess I stretched that picture out a little bit longer than I thought. But, you know, it gives you a chance to talk to me and let me talk to you for a minute. I know some of you are sitting back in the back going, blah, 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 blah. Shut up already and get on with the video. Tired of looking at that snow. We've been looking at it for months already. All right, here it comes, y'all. Any second now. There it is. So now we're putting the awning up over top of the windows out there. And that made a huge difference inside the barn too, as far as getting us light and all that stuff. You know, and there are some of you out there expect this property to be all pretty and glamorous and all that stuff. And well, that's not what this life is about. You know, we don't need a mansion in the sky or, you know, anything like that to be happy and comfortable. You know, so we're good with that. You know, Junk to Gems is all about using somebody else's crap and turn it into something cool. You know, you don't have to have a lot of money to be happy. Although, you know, a lot of money would be nice, but it ain't gonna make us any happier. It's just gonna make it more comfortable. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'd probably be real happy if I won the lottery, and I'd be a lot more comfortable and I'd have a lot more fun. But it doesn't mean I'm not having fun and not comfortable and happy now. So we are very grateful for everything we have, and we keep going. And just so you know, during this part of the build here, if you'd have done that with 2x4s, those probably wouldn't have held up so well. But 2x6s, you know, you can make that span like that without a problem. Even through all these hard storms we've had, that has all held up very well. Hasn't rattled even a little bit. So, you know, all I had to do was put 2 braces in there, and that's held up so well. As you can see, clouds building up in the background there. About to rain again. All right, getting about time for some more music. See, there's a short joke for Mary having to use a bucket. Big short joke for me because I had to use a ladder. I said, I need a raise. Well, here's a bigger ladder. You can see this, them two braces on the end was all it took to hold that up there. And here's where I really needed the clamps at the time because the wind kept trying to blow my plastic off. It's like every time I started to get it moving, it'd blow it off again. Now, these are all panels from Patio Well Shed that when we got it delivered down at Drew's, we put it together, and of course a few of the doors were bent up. So they sent us a whole new package, which happened to have wall panels in it and all. So we left Drew the shed, and we brought the rest of the panels up here to use. Yeah, you can see our dog door there is torn up already, so we need to get a new dog door ASAP. Help keep the critters out of here too. Because we found out the skunks and the coons can just come right through the fence or right up over the fence like it ain't no big deal. If y'all go back and watch one of the other videos, you'll see where we had one skunk come in there and he just thought he was all that in a bucket of chicken and wasn't backing down. And here we're trying to build up the dirt underneath the pergola. So, and here soon I'm going to have to be calling in for the help to get that picked up so we can put the rest of the dirt underneath there and get that raised up. Because now that I've got the dirt raised up about 5-6 inches, I need to pick the pads up and get them raised up about 5 or 6 inches. It sure is nice having tow truck running again though, because that makes life different, a whole lot sweeter. And for those of you that don't know why I call it tow truck, in Florida, that machine right there, that little 54 Ford tractor, helped out so much. We towed everything around the yard, trailers and all kinds of stuff. That was our lifting and moving everything around there. Well, look how much better that all looks now. From so thick you couldn't see that shed, that shop back there, to now all clear and open. And yes, I do have all that stuff moved off the side now because I'm fixing to build that lean-to on there. And that one big tree back behind the shop right there, I got to get it out next. Because during that last storm there, it was bending over pretty hard and smacking the roof. But right there where that tree is where that snake came in at me. That big cottonmouth. You know, some people were correcting me on there, but that's a cottonmouth, not a water moccasin. Well, in Florida, that's the same thing. That's, water moccasin, cottonmouth, they both live in swampy, wet areas and what have you like that. So they're the same snake, basically. The only reason they call it a cottonmouth when it opens up its mouth is real bright white. It looks like like it's just lined its whole mouth with cotton. But yeah, normally they're a pretty aggressive snake. That one there didn't seem to want to have anything to do with me that day, thankfully, because that could have been real bad. Because he was only a foot from my ankle. And most times, like in Florida, most of them are pretty aggressive about territory and what have you. Even though when you go to the springs down there, you'll see them laying on the bank all over the springs, but they only get in that water when they absolutely need to, and that's to eat. Other than that, the ones around the springs are not aggressive. The ones off in the woods, they can be aggressive. They're guarding their little wet spot back in the woods. And then here's where we got them big plans for that other project coming up. And if you look around the property in some of our videos now, you'll see all the stuff we've been collecting for that little area right there. So I remember back when, in the beginning of the video, where this is where Mary, right in here is where Mary got her face smacked the first day on the property. Got her nose up pretty good. So there's all the rocks that we're going to be using for our project there, and that's not even the start of them. There's so many of them that we got to put in there. But hopefully that'll be happening here soon. Again, waiting for everything to dry out. because I've got a big pile of rock that I've been digging up out of the pit, out of the pond back there, and I need to like kind of sort through it a little bit. So I need to be able to let it dry out enough so I can roll that stuff out of there and then be able to start picking the rocks up and bringing them over here to this spot. Right here, you'll be able to see that big pile that I've got. It's got a bunch of nice rocks in it. And of course, I'm going to hit a lot more once I finish getting into this pond more. Now that one little hole with the hose going in, it's about 7 foot deep right there, maybe 8 foot deep there. And then now I've got the rest of it down like closer to 10 feet. Amazing difference, ain't it, Joe? Amazing difference. So anyway, we're getting close to the end of the video now, so I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of music. I want to thank y'all again for watching this hour and a half, and appreciate you joining us every day and watching our videos and keeping us going. Because remember, the more you watch, the more ads you watch, the more projects we can get done. So we want to thank you everybody for that, and we definitely want to thank everybody for all your help and everything that you've done for us to get us here to this point. So don't forget, go out there and tell your friends. Don't forget to chase that dream. Don't listen to the naysayers, okay? Chase it. You can make it happen. Hard work, determination, and remember the triple A's, okay? So in the meantime, we'll see you all soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and tell everybody, come see Junktojems, and that your dreams too can come true. See you guys.